Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening to Wake Up, Look Up, a podcast where we connect events happening in real time to the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm Zach Weihrauch, and today's episode is asking the question, why don't men text? And if you're listening to this, my guess is you're either in relationship with a man who doesn't text, or you are that man, I'm pointing at myself here, who isn't great at texting. This has become a little bit of a social phenomenon. I read an article about it this week that described it as text debt. Most men are in crippling text debt, which means their phone is currently full of text messages that they haven't responded to, that they probably should have responded to, and now they don't know what to do about it. The article was also pointing out that texting has become a major way that modern people relate to each other, but men in particular don't seem to be very good at it or very dedicated to it, and as a result, they're missing out on that potential social connection. Of course, we know that research has shown men are incredibly lonely. We've talked about that a lot here on Wake Up, Look Up, and texting is potentially a solution, except for men, guys, fellas, we are awful at it. Some of that is because the social science shows that texting kind of goes against male bonding style. Women, painting with a broad brush here, obviously, women tend to bond face-to-face and in conversation. They can get together and talking is the whole point. Men tend to bond side by side. We don't want to get together and admit we're there to talk. We want to go play golf, go hunting, go fishing. And if talking happens while we're doing that, that's great. Texting, of course, is the opposite. It is simply conversation for conversation's sake. Add into that the fact that men are taught from a very young age not to share our feelings, not to be vulnerable. And actually, if the other men around us share their feelings and or are vulnerable, we're taught really to ridicule them, to mock them, to turn it into a joke to help us all kind of turn the page from an uncomfortable conversation. But guys, we can do better. I can do better, and we need to. That's because I actually think this article is onto something. Texting is a path forward to actual biblical friendship. Let me just start with this, guys. The Bible stresses your need for friends. Proverbs 27 says that iron sharpens iron. We need men who make us sharper, men who can challenge us as husbands, fathers, workers, whatever role we play, men who know us, men who are engaging our minds and our hearts in conversation. Not only do we need that, but Galatians 6 says that we're actually responsible to each other for that. I love the way Paul says this: bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. Do you want to keep the law? Do you want to be righteous in God's eyes? Here's how you do it. You care for your friends. You come up under their burdens with them, which means, of course, you're asking about those burdens. They're talking about those burdens, and far from ridiculing them, you're actually seeking to come up underneath the weight and help them carry it. This means, of course, that we must heed the biblical call to develop empathy. Check out Romans 12. We got to learn to care for each other, to rejoice with each other, to weep with each other. Guys, that was the heart of Jesus Christ. And no matter what your definition of masculinity is, you will never be more masculine than Jesus. And Jesus was a weeper. Jesus was a talker. Jesus enjoyed these kinds of empathetic relationships. Hebrews 10 tells us we've got to not forsake each other, but to actually speak into each other's lives, to do life together. Okay, theology lesson is over. So how do I apply all of these things? How do I become iron that sharpens iron? How do I bear burdens? How do I develop empathy? How do I heed the call to be a brother in Christ? Well, there are a lot of answers to that, but one of them probably is texting. Keep keep responding to your friends. Let them know you're thinking about them. Check in with how you can be praying for them. Are they having a good day or a bad day? Is there anything you can do to help? Ask them when they tell you, tough day at work. Say, how are you feeling about that? Share with them what the Lord is teaching you. Guys, if we keep each other on red, we're not just being bad texters and bad friends. I think in some ways we're being bad followers of Jesus. This is an opportunity for spiritual growth in a very, very practical way. So if you are a guy, listen to this again. Go apply it. And if you're not a guy, but you love a guy, send him this and tell him that Jesus wants him to do better. And you could probably let him know, so do you. Hey, thanks so much for watching this episode of Wake Up, Look Up. While you're here, take a minute to like and subscribe. It really helps us get the word out. Don't hesitate to leave a review wherever you might find this podcast on an audio level and help spread the word. And hey, while you're here, check out all the other content we have at Christ Community Chapel on YouTube. Some of those videos are popping up on the screen now. Click on one.